The chief engineer of a container ship that went rogue in Charleston Harbor in 2024 is now heading home to the Philippines after being sentenced in federal court earlier today.
Fernando San Diego San Juan pleaded guilty to failing to report a hazardous condition and obstructing investigators after the ship lost engine control. Live 5's Kavya Ramesh has more on the sentencing.
I'm standing here just outside the courtroom where earlier today a federal judge ordered Fernando San Diego San Juan to pay $2,000 fine. Now prosecutors say his actions nearly caused a catastrophe on the water. In June of 2024, the outbound container ship MSC Michigan VII lost engine control, forcing authorities to temporarily shut down the Arthur Ravenel Bridge. Investigators say a crucial linkage rod disconnected in the engine's room, leaving the ship stuck at near full throttle, speeding around 20 miles per hour. While engineers scrambled to fix the striped threads on the rod, the container ship damaged several vessels docked along the harbor before the crew finally regained control. Federal prosecutors emphasize that this runaway ship incident could have been far worse.
So this should serve as a message to anybody that wants to cut corners that if something happens, we're going to charge you federally, and there are going to be consequences.
Now in court today, defense attorneys did say that San Juan inherited a poorly maintained vessel, and once he got legal counsel, he ultimately started cooperating. Right now, he apparently has a bunch of severe health issues, and he hasn't been home since April of 2024. San Juan now has 14 days to appeal his conviction. Reporting in downtown Charleston, I'm Kavya Ramesh, Live 5 News.